All right, good evening, everyone. Today is April 16th, 2024. Welcome and thanks for joining us today here in person at Tropical Acres. We wish you could all be here with us. I'm Phil Santonzi, Program Chair for Section 1510 Southeast Florida. As you all know by now, I think, and if you don't, there's some news for you. You can join our LinkedIn group, ASQ Southeast Florida Section 1510, if you're not already a member. At this point, I would like to introduce Kara Bryan, who's our section chair, and Kara has a few words. Kara, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So I'd first like to welcome, we have a new board member. So big round of applause to Samantha, who is joining us as our new My ASQ community owner. Samantha is going to be managing all things My ASQ. So that's our event postings, file uploads, you name it. She's going to be in charge of it. So thank you greatly to Samantha for joining us. And Samantha, you do get to earn extra RU credits for your service. So thank you. Speaking of RU credits, we have another opportunity to earn and to learn. Our student branch is hosting a presentation on process improvement in the service industry, specifically in legal and law. It'll be held next Wednesday, April 24th. You can attend either in person at Nova Southeastern, or you can attend online, and it'll be worth 0.5 RU credits. For those of you online, I'll drop the link in the chat. And then lastly, we have our annual student scholarship. This is open to any student. You do not have to be an ASQ 1510 member. You don't even have to be in Southeast Florida. So if you have nieces, nephews, fiancés, you name it, they can go ahead and apply. All that's required is that you're an active student, you have a GPA of 3.0 or higher, and you write a 500-word essay on what does quality mean to me. And that's our news for April. Does Dr. Kramer, do you have anything you'd like to share?
Sarah was good enough to talk about our 24th, next Wednesday we have the meeting. So yeah, check that, and that's on the LinkedIn site. So please register, come in person and come virtually. So thank you.
Okay, tonight our speaker is Miguel Olivares. He's the Senior International Trade Specialist at the U.S. Commercial Service in Fort Lauderdale. Miguel, with the Commercial Service for 26 years, guides and counsels export-minded U.S. companies looking to increase international sales, whether they're already exporting or if they're new to exporting. His experience both domestically and internationally includes event management, international marketing, cross-cultural communication, international relations, and U.S. government operations. Miguel has a master's in international studies from the University of Oregon. He has a bachelor's in international relations and history from UCLA, and has studied economics at Monash University in Australia and European Union law in France. At the Fort Lauderdale office, Miguel specializes in healthcare, environmental industries, advanced manufacturing, and consumer goods. He was born and raised in Southern California, which explains why he hasn't gone out of using the word dude. So Miguel's presentation tonight is about navigating international trade opportunities and resources. Join me, please, in welcoming Miguel.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. This is really special. So basically, the commercial service is the export promotion branch of the U.S. government. Just about every major country has their own export promotion agency. Commercial service is the U.S. one. And, there's a ton of advantages of working with us. I came from the private sector, and I was at a trade show. Somebody came in from the commercial service, and I'm like, who are you? And it's, we're not very good at advertising ourselves. I got my degree in international trade, no idea what the commercial service was, or any of the resources. But here, I'm going to tell you a bit about what we do. And so one of the really interesting things about us is you do get recognition. If you're a small company and you're export minded, you want to go overseas, it's what are your resources? And how do you go about doing it? And, over companies abroad, they go like, well, who are you? And we all know that in this day and age, you could make a website look like you're $1 million company, and yet you're operating out of a out of a one bedroom place. So when you work with us, it's the US embassies and US consulates which are advocating for you. It gives you street cred. It's like, yeah, this is a bona fide US company and you can work with us. And we also have a global network. Let me see if I can get this just to give you an idea. Global network. So basically, this is where I just want to show where we are. Middle East and Africa. You could just scroll on down. And so we have. I'm trying to follow, and I'll show you what these mean, because we have country commercial guides, market intelligence, and I'm going to show what these are. But basically, you can look on the because the slides will have to have the links, so you can look at them in your own time, and you can just see where would be a good place for you to go to. Let me just go back to the main slide. So the services that we offer is export counseling, which we talked to you about. What are your goals? What markets are you interested in? This morning I had 2 calls with companies who were interested in Nigeria, and it's kind of funny because I haven't had much call for Nigeria in a few years, and here I had 2 of them at the same time. But we had calls with our offices in Lagos. Okay, this is what you're looking at, and so we had a counseling session on, what is your product? What was the market like over there? And so we talked about different strategies to enter Nigeria. We also provide market intelligence, where you could analyze different countries. What are their financial regulations? Like, for instance, going back to Nigeria, they operate mainly on letters of credit. That's just the way it is. They operate mainly on letters of credit for international transactions. But we can tell you what are the main methods of international finance. And then there's business matchmaking, and this is really the crux of what we do, and I'll talk to you about it as we move forward. So one of the first things that we do is discuss to see if you are export ready. A lot of companies they're already selling here in the US, but it's one of the things that we ask, are you already selling your product in the United States? Because a potential distributor will ask that. Well, what's your market share in the US before they want to go? They may be interested in your product. And just sort of think about it. If you put yourself in a distributor, the guy overseas who stocks the store shelves, who has the inventory, who has the warehouse, he's going to want to know, well, okay, before I buy from this supplier, what's their market share? How good is the product already selling? And so that's something that we look at. If you're not selling already, we can make introductions, but we're not miracle workers. And another thing is, can your company commit to sufficient production capacity? You get yourself a big order overseas. Do you have this inventory? Do you have the capacity to produce? These are general things. Do you have the financial resources to go and invest in international marketing? It will require travel. It will require time and effort to go abroad. And a few things that I do tell people is, don't do more than 2 countries at a given time. I do get some folks that, well, I want to go here. No. Because every place has their own nuances.
No.
Different. And so it takes time to navigate a certain country. Make sure you meet the right people, and that's where we can help you. And I'll talk about that. think about having a sensible schedule. Yeah, I mean, traffic and logistics. I'm from Los Angeles. I can tell you straight that you can't have more than 2 meetings in a given day because the traffic is just ridiculous. And think about other places in the world where the traffic is also bad. Oof, man. And, just have a financial cushion. This is not something that happens overnight. And, you're just be prepared. Give yourself that cushion. So you're interested in going abroad. You just want to see what's out there. Country commercial guides. These are things that you can view online. A country commercial guide, like remember what I showed you with the different countries. So you saw it pointed. It gives you a synopsis of what's the industry like over there, what's the economic situation, what's the political situation. Like I mentioned, like finance, what are the best financial, what are the financial means of doing it? And so we have these guides, and some are thicker than others, just because of the size of the market. And so China's going to be a lot bigger than, say, El Salvador. That's just because of the way the market is. But you can look at these guys, and again, if you're interested in Kenya or you're interested in Argentina or Brazil or whatever, check out these guides. Absolutely free of charge. You just look at them and anything you want is there. Industry research. We also have the same thing for different in industry. Aerospace, automotive, healthcare, education, environments, safety and security. They're all there. They're divided up, and you can look on that link. I have a few slides again, just in case the internet didn't work. I used to be a Boy Scout, so I'll show you a little bit of that. We also have something called an initial market check. Matter of fact, this fellow who I'm working with is interested in going to Nigeria. We're going to do such a thing. He has a product he's selling here in the US, he's selling overseas, but he's never been able to get into West Africa. So what we're doing is he's giving us all his marketing materials, he's showing specific areas of his website and all. And we're going to go to different distributors, agents within Nigeria. What do you guys think? Is it favorable with you? Is there interest? Can we generate interest? And sometimes, yes, we can get up to like 5 distributors who are interested. Tell me more. Or, nah, we think this is going to be positive because we know that this product that my client is selling is not available over there. But it's a very inexpensive. It's $350 for a small company, and it's primary market research. We will interview people. What do you think about this product? If it's favorable, I'll get into that a little later because there we can take the next step, and I'll show you what that is. But another thing is the international company profile. If you ever get an inquiry from overseas, I'm interested and I want to be your exclusive distributor for this region, and I've seen it. But you don't know if the company is legit or not. Call me up. Let's find out. Half the time I can pretty much identify if the company is legit because so like last year, somebody sent me, it looked official. It was a PDF file, it looked signed and everything, and it was from Ghana. And it had a stamp, an official stamp, right? It was like a purple field with a jaguar on top, and it had like a counter stamp, so it looked real. And then there was a seal with a province. And I'm like, okay, it was somewhat low resolution. So red flag number one. So I looked up purple stamp with Jaguar. Just Googled it. And yes, it turned out to be a postage stamp from Nigeria. And so what this guy did is he put this there to make it look official, but it was just a used postage stamp. And then when I looked at the province, and I forget the name, sorry, but the province was nowhere near Ghana. It was in the Philippines. So, you know, I like, I rang my client. I'm like, dude, no, no, this is not legit. Don't just go away, walk away from it. But it sounds so good. No, don't do it. Anyway, the international company profile, we have two different versions. We have it like a partial, and partial is using publicly available information about a company. Now, what's publicly available in the US is different from what's publicly available in, say, Germany or, you know, the UAE or something like that. A full gets more into the financial details and the principles. But in order to do that, we alert the other company that, hey, you know, we're the US Embassy, we're the consulate, we're going to dive deep into your company. Are you okay with that? Because it's invasive, a lot of companies will go like, no. But those that have nothing to hide will generally say yes. And so I also advise people that if you want to do that, you know, first of all, you may anger a company, but if they walk away, that kind of gives you an answer. On a second. But yeah, so that's things that we can do. I'm going to go into here, the international partner search and the virtual intro. So let's say that we're able to generate leads. People are interested and want to get to know more about you. The partner search will give you this list of folks. And here's the background information of all these distributors. And you can go ahead and contact them. They are expecting you to contact them. That's one way. Another way is we could do it virtually, where we can have appointments with you. And we'll set it up virtually. And you can have the meetings online. Now, this wasn't possible, but now it is. And one of the cool things I can say about the virtual introduction is that it can be mobile. So if you have your company and your factory and your production facility, you want to show them, hey, let me take you on a company tour. You can do that virtually. And you just show them around. You know, this is how we make it. This is what it is. You're not giving away any secrets, but you're showing them that, hey, you are legit. You are reinforcing the message that you're a company to do business with. The Gold Key service is really our flagship service. It's where you fly over to the country and we take you from one meeting to the next to the next. You know ahead of time who you're meeting with. You have their background information. You know, they know all about you. You know all about them. We can never guarantee a sale, but it's as warm an introduction as you can get. And another thing about the Gold Key is put yourself in a position of a distributor. Again, you have your warehouse. Your business is all about turning over in inventory, selling your product. You have a potential supplier coming over to you. And, you know, either one is say virtually or just as a phone call versus one who will take the time to meet with you in person. Who are you going to trust? Who are you going to want to interact with? It's going to be the person who comes over to see you. So we have this. It's amazing Single company promotion is if you're talking to municipalities or government officials. It's where they'll have a room in a hotel room or something like this. And we invite representatives from a local government, municipality, and the floor is yours. You talk about your products, where we do all the RSVPs, you know who the audience is. It's able to do your pitch in front of a captured audience. So this is one of the industries, the healthcare technologies in industry page. But our healthcare industry page, and here you've got marketing research, trade leads. And within that, you also have like a sample. I just took a screenshot of this, but there's medical technologies, clinical chemistry and diagnosis. I just highlighted pharmaceuticals and biopharmaceuticals. That's how the page looks like. And you can download it or you can visit it and you can scroll down and see it. And here is some information we have on the healthcare industry on these countries here. It does scroll down a little further, but you can click on any one of these and you can get some basic information about healthcare in these countries, what's hot, what's going on. We don't have it for every country, and it's general information. So are you going to have information about needles or bandages in Jordan? Not really, but you will have information on the size of the healthcare market there, and who are the main players. So it will be there. This is something I did from Italy. Again, healthcare resources. So I just clicked on that. Executive summary, market entry, market trends, best prospects, market size, main competitors, the demands, registration process. Because whenever you're dealing with healthcare, registration is, yeah, you're not in it. You get it. So it gives you all this information and registration process. We don't do the registration ourselves, but we can point you as to where to do it. And yeah, so we have all these resources available. EU, CE marking, exceptions to the CE marking. These are standards. And again, you have resources that we put down there. So if you want to do some research on your own, we have this. We have these environmental technologies. It's not extensive, but we do have some things here. Like for Egypt, we go into water. There, alternative water resources. Just a bunch of information about that. Market entry. Can you go through? Yes, it did. Okay.
That just gives you all the parameters for whatever country and whatever
Exactly.
area you're interested in.
Exactly. So basically, how to work with us? Because we are federal, we have to have majority US content. If you are importing stuff from overseas and trying to sell that through US government sources, no, we can't. But if you have some value added here in the US, it's good. We understand that we live in a globalized economy, so we usually look at things like headquartered here, admin here, customer service, research and development, warehouse, basically the majority of the business operations being in the United States, in order for us to work with you. So we do take it seriously. We have to promote US products. That's what we are here to do. Another thing is just be consistent and proactive. We need to hear from you. Sometimes we get a lot of requests and all, and it's like, oh, who are you again? So, like I said, focus on no more than 2 countries at a given time. And, you know, Europe is not a country. Neither is South America. So, I had somebody tell me that, well, yeah, I asked him, where do you want to export? And he said, well, I want to go to Africa. I'm like, oh, okay. That's 52 countries. Where? And so, and each country is different. You know, they have different demographics, different economies, different everything, just like everywhere else. And yeah, set reasonable expectations. Just know that sales are not made overnight. A lot of it is relationship building. You know, they want to know you. They want, when they mean the buyer, they want to know you. They want to see who you are. And that's it. But I'd be happy to talk to you guys if you're interested in us doing so. And yeah, happy to chat.
Anybody have any questions?
Okay.
Most of your presentation is focused on the product.
Yes,
What about services?
it's different. We've exported services, but services are difficult because what are they tangible? You know, it's one thing to see a product because you can actually see it, physically see it. And yes, we do, most of our economy is service-based. But it's difficult to sell the service because it's not tangible. We do it. I personally don't specialize in it. But if you're interested in trying to export your services, I can certainly point you in the direction of one of my colleagues who covers it.
Great, thanks.
If someone is in a country that's not on the list, does that mean the country's not recommended or just a country you haven't had a chance to research?
That's usually a country that we normally don't go to, like.
Or just repeat the question first. If you don't mind.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, the question is basically just, if someone is interested in exporting their product to a country that they don't work with, does that mean the country is not recommended for business, or is that a country they just haven't had a chance to research yet? Or both?
Okay, so if we don't have market research on a given country, is it, you know, is there something that we're just not there, it's not ready? Typically, if we don't have information on a given country, it's because they're sanctions and things, you know, the North Koreans, the Syrians, Iran, those guys. But having said that, our resources are not universal. So we have more, just because of the market size, you know, so we have more resources devoted to, say, Brazil or Colombia than we do to El Salvador. There's nothing against El Salvador. It's just that the size of the market,
Right.
you know, it just doesn't justify putting more resources there, you know, in our budget.
I don't think you mentioned it, but are the services free, or is there a fee?
Market research is free, but when we have to do the footwork, so like an initial market check, which I mentioned was for small companies, not small companies, but it's where we talk to distributors, find out that's $350 for small companies. The Gold Key service is $950 for small companies. And if you had already gone through an initial market check, that $350 is deducted. So it's not bad. I mean, you really think about it. Yeah, it's not bad.
For you invest millions in a country, yeah, spend
Yeah.
$350, right?
Bingo. That's it. That's exactly what. Yeah.
So you mentioned that obviously Europe is not a country, but does the EU have any impact on, each country still has their own rules?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, and it, you know, I wish it was an easier way to say it, but there's, yes, it's true. Every country, it has its own nuances and all. But with the EU, if one product is allowed into the EU, like let's say it's allowed into Spain, it's going to be allowed into another country with that CE mark. So, the standards are universal, but the means of doing business different. So that's, it's like, yes, but. Yeah. But I have seen people use, say, like Belgium as literally a gateway. They will export to Belgium. Or they will see where's the least resistance. Where can their market reach Europe, where it's still within that EU. And once it's in, then they can branch out to a more difficult market where products could already be available there.
Right. Any other questions? Oh, go ahead, Steve.
So what about like ISO certification? Is that like a precursor? Is that a litmus? Does that come up much in what you do at all? Or would you use it as a qualifier? Say, okay, in other words, in your market research, whether or not firms are ISO certified, is that some of the statistics that you?
Yeah, it helps. If you can say that, yes, your company is ISO certified, yeah, it helps.
Especially in Europe, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, it certainly helps.
Two questions.
Yeah.
The first one, I know you said this is maybe promoting export to the US, but do you help find an intermediary that can help you source labor or materials to then bring back to the US and finish it to sell or to export from other countries?
I've been asked that question. And we generally can't. That the onus for that would be on you. If you want to source, you want to talk to companies, say you want to source product from, I don't know, I mentioned Spain, so okay, I'll go with that. You can talk to the Spanish consulate, like Invest Spain, and they could help you. We actually have something called Select USA, where we do it for foreign firms. Come here, look at Select USA, we can sell this, and you can source from here. Not necessarily finished product, but raw materials, or maybe even set up shop in the US. But it's like I would go to the foreign country equivalent. Just go to their consulate or commercial section of their consulate. And your next question?
Oh, yes. My next question is around the searches. So
Yes.
could I just do a search by, instead of industry specific, but by the country? And it'll give me a full report of the country so that maybe I can look at opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at our country commercial guides, and the link is there, and yeah, you could look at whatever country commercial guide that we have. I mean, last week I was just scrolling down and I was looking for Mexico and I inadvertently clicked on Mongolia. Whoa. I have some people from Mongolia. And yes, we do. It's not expensive, because I mean, our market share really isn't that big there. But you can look at that list, country commercial guides. You can just go on down and see what, what industries are hot, what's going on, whatever you feel comfortable with as far as a country. I showed Kenya earlier in the presentation. You can look at that. You can look at their country commercial guide, and maybe there's something within it. When you look at the industry sectors or what are the top 10 products there, that it could resonate with you. The same thing with Chile, Southeast Vietnam. You can see what suits your, what works best for you. I mean, I find that people not necessarily go with the opportunity there is, but also where they really have an interest in too. Maybe we have some affinity to, be it Brazil, wherever. One thing I do recommend is you look at where we have our free trade agreements. You know, you look at that first, because the cool thing about free trade agreements is that your products are equitable with what's produced domestically. You know, of course, cost of shipping there will raise, you know, the price, but generally speaking, the tariffs are lower and you can be more competitive here. Brazil is a big country. There's a lot of people there, but they also have like layers of tariffs, layers of, you know, it's just like, oh my God, my product is now 4 times, you know, for a consumer over there than it is here in the US. Yeah. Sure.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Go ahead, Thomas.
Do you provide, you were talking a lot about Africa.
Yes.
If, for example, if I would like to know the pharmaceutical guidelines for a new entity drug getting to Kenya, is that part of the services that you provide?
So if I'm reading this right, you have a new drug and you want to export it to
Kenya.
Kenya. Kenya also has their own equivalent of like what we have the Food and Drug Administration. They'll have their own equivalent. And your product will likely have to be lab tested to see if it will be allowed there in the first place.
Let's assume that I got already level 3 of my clinical trials. I'm safe.
But
Okay.
here in the States,
And
they
Here
might
in
not
the state.
accept.
And that's what I need to know. If they provide that type of
FDA approved.
Yeah, we can show you where the labs are.
today McKinsey published a report
Mhm.
on the difficulties of pharma companies getting into these low income countries.
Yeah.
Because of the lack of guidelines for new entities.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know about the lack of guidelines, but, you know, a lot of countries have their own, like I said, the equivalent of Food and Drug Administration. And so they want to make sure that even though it may pass in the US, that doesn't necessarily mean that it'll pass in,
Yeah.
you know, wherever.
Yeah.
You know, it will most likely have to be lab tested, especially with like pharmaceuticals. And it will have to pass some kind of their standards before it'll be allowed in.
But again, we are facing, especially in Africa, a high level of HIV, a high level of pregnancy
Right.
that impede the clinical trials in the country.
That's up to the individual countries.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have, you know, yeah, so that's up to them.
But I want to thank you very much on behalf of the board and the members of. Thank you very much. You have to come in, talking of our appreciation for you being here.
So much.
Thanks.